Slumpbusters? Welcome in, SEC fans. Welcome in, random passersby who definitely should hit that subscribe button. I'm Juju Talk Sports. To my left is my co-host Kyle Ledbetter, and our wonderful guest completing this dynamic trio is going to be Josh Clacker of the Bama Brigade YouTube show and Sunday Night Scoreboard. Clacker, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. We're happy to have you. Happy that we have reached the pinnacle of this college football season.
Happy to be here.
Kyle and I, we're taked out. We just saw this game a few weeks ago. So we are all taked out. So we had to get a good old Southern boy on this show to talk this SEC dominated game. So I'm going to hit you with a question real quick. Kyle's going to hit you with a question, and we're just going to have a lot of fun here on this show real quick. So Clacker, my first question to you, since we did see this game just literally a couple fortnights ago, what is going to be the biggest difference between now and the SEC championship?
Well, the biggest difference for Alabama is going to be without John Mechie. He went down, torn his ACL in the SEC championship. I think that's going to be the biggest difference. And another big difference is the fact this Georgia defense has now seen a full game of Heisman winner Bryce Young, but at the same time, Alabama's seen this stout Georgia defense for a game. So now you know everything about these teams. Now you got to learn something else about them, and you got to learn more, and you got to learn what you got to do to beat them again. And it's going to be interesting to see who learned the most in this last game.
What was your biggest takeaway from the semifinal game against Cincinnati? Because obviously Bama won the way we all thought they would win, but it was kind of an interesting way to get there, even if it was the result we were all looking at.
I think the defense is fine. The defense, other than the scripted drives, the defense is great. The defense was solid. Only gave up 6 points to a pretty good offense. The offense struggled. I say struggled. You had almost like 300 rushing yards. That's not struggling, but Bryce Young didn't have a Heisman game. There's Jamison Williams didn't have the game I was hoping from him. Offense kind of sputtered, but in a way, I kind of think the offense knew that, if we don't have to play perfect to win this game, you don't want to open up your playbook before you play a national championship, because it's probably the best defense in football. So, I'm really not surprised. I feel like, the semifinal game could have gone better, but I'm not going to complain about a 21-point win in a semifinal game. So I'm happy with it, and I'm ready to see what happens next week.
When I had the pleasure of being on your show last time as a guest, you brought up a point that Alabama, when they get perfect protection from their offensive line, keep Bryce Young clean, they are undefeatable. Now, considering that they gave up 0 sacks in that last game against Georgia, is that a replicable performance by them heading into the national title, or do you think Georgia's going to get theirs?
I don't think it's replicable, but I don't think either team is going to be able to replicate performances they've had earlier. I don't think you're going to go 2 games and hold this Georgia defense to 0 sacks, because the Georgia defense is absolutely solid. With Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, they're going to get pressure. I don't think Alabama's offensive line is going to play perfect again, but I still maintain my original thought. Like I said back then, if they play good and keep Georgia out of the backfield, I still think they win the game. Now, losing John Mechie is going to be really hard. They're going to double down on Jamison Williams. That's going to make somebody to Jacoy Brooks, Christian Leary, Slade Bolden. Somebody's going to have to step up in that WR2 role, because they're going to game plan JMO really well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But I still think if the offensive line protects, that is all Alabama has to do to win, because they're gonna find ways to get the ball to open receivers. They're gonna find ways to get Brian Robinson and Trey Sanders some running room. So honestly, I don't think they replicate it. I don't see that happening, because Georgia learned a lot from that game. But I still maintain the same thing. If they play decent or good, Alabama wins.
Well, you mentioned Brian Robinson there a second ago. What role do you think he's going to end up playing against Georgia this time? Because obviously Georgia's built on the rush defense, and Robinson was a big factor in the Cincinnati game. So what do you think he's going to be looking like here?
I think he's going to he's just going to have to be a hard-nosed runner. He had some nice runs the first game against Georgia, and I think that's what he's going to have to do. He's not going to have, it's not going to be one of those games where he has 100, 200 yards. He's just going to have to get us a few yards here, a few yards there, 3rd and 2, 2nd and 2, need 3 or 4 yards. Get those yards. That's what we need to do. Just pick up the short yardage, get us some first downs. I honestly hope to see Trey Sanders have a good game. I think you're going to have a 1-2 punch. this Georgia D line is absolutely great. You're going to have a 1-2 punch, and he's going to have to have something. We can't have a game like LSU where we had -6 rushing yards. We're going to have some rushing to beat them, and I think he's going to play that role just as a kind of a game manager running back where you get what you need to open up the passing game. But I think we'll see a lot more of Trey Sanders than we've seen most of the year.
Okay, now I want you to go in on your opponent. I want you to go in on these Georgia Bulldogs. What did you see in the Michigan game that was the biggest level of growth from them in the time since the SEC championship?
Defensive, I know this is kind of weird to say, but the defensive line was not that great against us last time. The defensive line was great against Michigan, against an offensive line who was voted the best offensive line in the country. They're playing the Big Ten, so you can't really make a judgment there because the Big Ten is not the strongest conference. But to answer your question, I'm going to go their quarterback play. Stetson Bennett had 2 interceptions. I think he had 2 interceptions against Alabama. Last time, Stetson Bennett played a great game. And so I feel like that was overall their biggest improvement was Stetson Bennett and what he was able to do against a good Michigan defense. I respect them a lot more than I would have going into that game. And it's, makes this upcoming game a lot more to think about.
See, I would have said going into this game that you would game plan against Cook, and that would be the way that you beat Georgia's by forcing Stetson to try and make plays. But then he did that against Michigan. So now I'm looking up and thinking, does the game plan change there? Do you still say dare Stetson Bennett to beat you and trying to stop the running game? Or has your thought changed on this?
I don't think Stetson Bennett alone can win the game. I think the second best quarterback in the college football playoff was Desmond Ridder. I think he was the second when we did a great job containing him. So I don't think Stetson Bennett alone doesn't worry me. It worries me if they've got some tight ends and they've got some receivers that can make plays. They made plays on us last time. And that's what worries me. If they start getting wide open play, getting guys wide open, we're not playing good coverage, that's when it's going to get tough. That's what worries me. I don't think Stetson Bennett alone can make those really accurate passes to beat us, but if they're doing a good job getting wide open, then yeah, he's going to have a field day. But I don't think yet alone, if we play our defensive game and don't give them open plays, I don't think he can win the game by himself.
But Nick Saban loves this. Talk about feeding the rat poison, that phrase he threw around after the SEC championship. They are entering this game as 3-point underdogs, despite their blowout of them in the SEC championship. So a lot of people are picking the Kirby Smart revenge narrative out there in Vegas. To you, Clacker, what will be this final game prediction? Who gets the win? Who goes home with the national championship?
It's going to come down to the same X factor I said it would last time. It's going to come down to the offensive line. And I think the revenge factor is strong. And as much as I'm an Alabama fan in this one, I think Georgia comes away with a close win.
Ooh, upset city. It's like a heel turn in wrestling right here. Kyle.
It is. I think it's going to be close, but I think Georgia comes away with a close win. I think the defense is going to do enough this time.
All right, Kyle, what about you? What say you heading into this game?
I will always take the team with high upside offense, so I am rolling with Alabama. I will give them maybe 10 points. I'd say maybe a 10-point victory, but to play it safe, I'd say like 8 or 9, somewhere around there.
I like how the Alabama fan has picked them to lose, and now 2 straight non-Alabama fans are going to pick them to win by a wide margin because I am just going with history. We're talking about Nick Saban, 7-0 against Kirby Smart. Only has lost to one of his assistants once before, and that happened this season. I just think that ownage is ownage. That is the key phrase here. Hashtag ownage is ownage, and we're going to see that in the national title game. I'm going to throw a score prediction here. I'm going to be a little bit bold. I'm going to say 34-21. Anyone want to match me in a score?
24-17.
24-17. Ooh, see, I'm closer to Clacker on this because there's an interesting trend of teams that play each other twice in the same season have gone under like 6 times in a row. It doesn't happen very often in college football, but when defenses get to see an offense a second time, apparently they end up being lower scoring games. So I think I'll lean that way. I will say 24-14.
All right, guys. You heard it here first. 2 for Bama, 1 for Georgia. Guys, again, thank you to our guests here. Josh Clacker, check him out. Bama Brigade, Sunday Night Scoreboard. Kyle Ledbetter joined me, of course. Juju Talk Sports. This is the Slumpbuster. Be sure to like this video. Be sure to drop your score prediction. Who's winning the title below in the comments? and hit that subscribe button, folks. We are so close to 2,000 subscribers, and we want you for the next part of this journey. We want you for next football season, and we want you to see more outstanding guests like Josh Clacker here. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. We will see you next time.